First, our top story tonight, a Fraternal Order of Police Lodge in Louisville is trying to intervene with the incoming consent decree between LMPD and the U.S. Department of Justice. Thanks for joining us. I'm Connie Leonard. The FOP filed the motion Friday in federal court. Now, in its motion, FOP Lodge 614 claims the decree conflicts with collective bargaining agreements made with Metro government. The consent decree, which was signed earlier this month, is a legally binding document requiring improvements to LMPD's use of force policy, search warrant procedure, and the way police work with the city's inspector general. The lodge argues the consent decree directly impacts its members and says it should have been involved in the negotiations from the beginning. Federal judges will meet January 13th to decide whether to approve the agreement as is or not at all. Well, today the nation mourns the passing of the 39th President of the United States, Jimmy Carter. In a proclamation issued overnight, President Biden set January 9th as a national day of mourning with a state funeral to be held at the National Cathedral in Washington. Meanwhile, around the world and the country, there has been an outpouring of sympathy. ABC's Morgan Norwood reports from Atlanta.
From the New York Stock Exchange to the United Nations,
the members of the Security Council convey their deepest sympathy to President Carter's family and to the government and people of the United States.
Tributes are pouring in to honor the life and legacy of former President Jimmy Carter.
You know, Jimmy Carter stands as a model of what it means to live a life of meaning and purpose, life of principle, faith, and humility.
Carter, who died Sunday at 100 years old, was the longest living president in American history. Just 56 when he left the White House in 1981 after serving one term. Carter and his wife Rosalind devoted themselves to humanitarian pursuits for the next 40 years, helping to build homes, working to fight disease, and monitoring foreign elections.
Looking back on it, I wouldn't change it. The life we've had since then, 35 or more years, at the Carter Center has opened up a new opportunity for us to serve in 80 countries in the world.
The former president was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 2002.
And one of the things that they were known for in the White House was their focus on human rights. And so we really wanted to continue that, as well as work on conflict resolution. So they created the Carter Center, which has a focus. We put human rights at the center of everything that we're doing.
At the Carter Center in Atlanta, a steady stream of visitors paying their respects.
I really appreciate him as an ex-president, you know, building houses and all the things he's done.
And President Biden ordering all American flags to be flown at half staff for a month in honor of the late president. Morgan Norwood, ABC News, Atlanta.
Kentucky Governor Andy Beshear responded to the president's death, saying in part, Jimmy Carter was a true American. He lived through his faith and values each and every day, lifting up his neighbors and serving our great country through kindness and compassion. The governor's office sent out an email this morning asking that flags at all state office buildings be lowered to half staff in honor of Carter's life. That's in accordance again with a proclamation from the White House set to last until January 28th. All new here at 5, we are learning details about an officer-involved shooting that has police questioning whether they were at the wrong address. Kentucky State Police are now investigating the incident, which happened a week ago in London. That's in Laurel County. WTVQ's Walker Simmons breaks down the confusion.
Responded 489 Van Zant Road, staging the area. Law enforcement on scene, shots fired.
Police scanner audio from Laurel County Dispatch is shedding new light on an officer-involved shooting that left one man dead. According to the audio, on December 23rd, around 11 p.m., police were searching a home on Van Zant Road when there were reports of shots fired.
They were out at 489 Van Zant Road serving a search warrant. Shots fired. They requesting EMS.
Did they advise the subject shot?
They heard shots fired and then they're applying a tourniquet.
A neighbor in the area tells ABC 36 that she heard a loud banging noise and police told her to stay inside. State police are now investigating the incident, but according to their report, the shooting didn't happen at 489 Van Zant Road, but rather at 511 Van Zant Road. In fact, 489 is the house right across the street from 511 where the shooting allegedly happened. So over the scanner, the London police were continuing to call out the address
489 Van Zant Road.
But state police say they were at a different house. Now, if you type type 489 Van Zant Road into a GPS, it takes you to the wrong address. Instead of 489, it pins 511 Van Zant Road, where the deadly shooting allegedly took place. Neighbors in the area are left with questions as some witnessed the incident taking place and others say they knew the man who died, adding he was a nice person to live near. In London, Walker Simmons, ABC 36 News Now.
Well, London Mayor Randall Weddle responded to the incident shortly after it happened last week, saying, quote, "My heart goes out to everyone affected by this incident. The family and friends of the individual remain in our thoughts and prayers, as well as the officers involved."
As you can see, this place, I don't know where the funding is coming from. I'm just walking by faith. But we got to get this up and going so we can make the difference, be the difference we want to see.
The Violence Reduction ACE project, named after director Rose Smith's murdered son, is expanding to its third building. And this news comes as the city is only 4 homicides behind where it was last year. Ian Hardwick joins us now. So Ian, how will this help further push those numbers down?
Yeah, Smith said it's by keeping kids busy and giving them life skills that'll keep them from turning to a life of violence. She believes in the work, but knows it'll take more organizations like hers and, most importantly, time to bring Louisville back to where it was just 10 years ago.
And they're going to be able to look you in the eye and shake your hand and say, welcome here. Welcome to ACE Makerspace, our woodwork shop.
Rose Smith can already imagine the day this old Portland Christian School workshop is full of busy hands. The boys in the ACE Project's Men in the Making have already made a shed and several benches since the program began last summer.
A lot of people don't have the skills of being able to work with their hands and do things. Some of that is a lost art. We're going to bring that back, and you can make a very good living doing it.
Giving kids a future and equipping them for success is how Smith works to keep violence down in Louisville. After someone shot her son a decade ago, the loss inspired the ACE Project, which has locations in Park Hill, Chickasaw, and now the Portland neighborhood. LMPD data shows a slow decline in homicides since 2021. But while there have been 141 so far in 2024, that's not much lower than the 145 the city saw in 2023.
This is a war, and in every war there's casualties. But we got to keep fighting because I do believe we can win. But it's going to take everybody. It's going to take plenty of ACEs. It's going to take all kind of organizations. It's going to take the community. It's going to take everybody coming together to do it.
She acknowledges how slow progress can be. It's easier to measure lost lives than saved ones. But as she shuts the door on this newly purchased property, she looks ahead to how the furniture made inside will fund other ACE programs that teach skills like sewing. And although it may seem far away, she knows there's a more peaceful Louisville ahead.
Things will get better. Just hold on. The best is yet to come, and we're in this together. Let's not do it solo. Let's do it together. We're in it together.
Smith expects the woodworking shop to be open by spring 2025.
Now, ACE needs volunteers to help with that new space. If you're interested, we got a way to contact them on our website over at WHAS11.com. That's on the homepage. Live in the studio, I'm Ian Hardwick.
All right, Ian, thank you so much for that. And right now, authorities in Indiana are investigating a deadly fire involving a camper trailer, according to Indiana State Fire Marshal David Hosick. It happened before 6 p.m. December 20th on East Radio Tower Road in Scottsburg. Hosick says the incident left a man dead, 2 women taken to Louisville hospitals to be treated for burns and smoke inhalation. At this time, investigators believe that fire started in the bedroom of the camper trailer. The cause of the fire remains unknown at this time. A Nelson County man who was shot by a sheriff's deputy on Christmas Day will remain behind bars. The incident happened just after midnight with troopers conducting a welfare check. Now, the Nelson County Sheriff says his deputies confronted 51-year-old Scott Hart on Margaret Lane in Cox Creek. Court documents say Hart was armed with a gun when he answered the door for deputies and threatened to shoot them while on the phone with the dispatcher. Police say Hart came out of the home and pointed his gun directly at them, prompting the deputy to shoot him in the arm. Now, Hart was treated at a local hospital, then released. He's charged with attempted murder of a police officer. Bond was set at $500,000. He's due back in court next Tuesday. 2025 is almost here, and with a new year comes a new set of laws. One law changing in many states across the country is minimum wage increases, but for Kentuckians and Hoosiers, it's staying the same at $7.25. That price hasn't changed in 15 years. So today, Gabriel Gonzalez and photojournalist Philip Merle talked to workers to see if their pay reflects the cost of living.
I have 3 jobs.
If you want to be able to survive in 2025,
That's for you.
you need multiple jobs. At least that's how Brennan McKee feels.
One job is not enough to compensate for general living expenses, rent, bills, groceries, gas.
As a shift lead at a local coffee shop, she gets paid more than the federal minimum wage of $7.25. But she says she'd like to see Kentucky follow the lead of other states with much higher starting pay. California, Connecticut, and Massachusetts have their minimum wage at least $15. Brennan says if that were the case in Kentucky, she can set more money aside for her future.
Other things take precedent, like when I have car troubles, and it's like, oh, all this money that I was able to save in the past few months, now I just have to spend it on fixing my truck.
Neighboring state Indiana also keeping that $7.25 minimum wage. I spoke to a service worker who says everything seems to be going up, but her pay.
I think there is like no possible way that you can really function unless maybe you have a 2-income household.
Devin Cook, who works in Indiana, gets paid the minimum wage for servers, $2.13.
Any appetizers? With being a server, you just don't really know what you're going to get paid.
She says her tips help her get through, but agrees 2010 is too long since a federal wage increase.
You should at least be able to survive all by yourself without having someone else in the home making income.
I do think it makes sense for it to be like regional based on where you live, but I just think that a minimum of 15 would be great for everyone.
Gabriel Gonzalez, WHAS11 on your side.
Lexington Senator Reggie Thomas has introduced a bill to increase the minimum wage to $10 an hour, eventually ending at $15 an hour by 2028. The proposal is under review by the Senate Review and Appropriations Committee. And according to the U.S. Department of Labor, 30 states currently have a minimum wage law set that's higher than the federal's $7.25 an hour. 13 states, including Kentucky and Indiana, have laws that follow the federally mandated hourly pay. Meanwhile, 7 states either have no state minimum law or have implemented wages lower than the federal level.